Hi, MariaFanelli here. It's so great to have Elise Rivers. She's the founder of Community Acupuncture of Mt. Airy, also known as CAMA. And not only is she an acupuncturist, but she's also an instructor for acupuncture as well at the Wand Institute. So Elise, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure, Maria.
Great. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Elise Rivers' place here, CAMA. First of all, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. As soon as I walked in today, I could just feel my energy, aligning with the energy of the wellness center here. It's very feng shui, I guess you could say. The colors are gorgeous. It smells beautiful. It's very inviting and welcoming. And I remember when you first opened this center, like 11 years ago?
We've been in Mount Airy for 12 years and here for 8 at this location.
So it's incredible. And the thing that I really love, and this is what stood out for me when I came to your grand opening, is that everything has been so thoughtfully done. So not only are the colors and the paintings and the decorations perfect, but I remember you telling me that you were choosing like non-toxic paints, non-toxic carpeting, really trying to put some thoughtfulness into that.
Yeah. Well, that was really important. You can't have a wellness center and have the materials that were used to build the wellness center not serve the people you want to serve. So it was really a great process to figure out what materials are available that could make it a non-toxic facility.
Right, and back then it was like a little bit more difficult to find. I think people are being a lot more thoughtful now with some of the different paints and other fabrics that they're using. But back then you really had to, put a lot more thought and research into it to find it.
Finding the carpeting was the most challenging thing, but the paints are, there's a lot of non-toxic paints out there and stains, but the carpeting turned out great in the end.
And yes, it did, and the colors look gorgeous too in the end. And you know what else I really love about this? First of all, not only is it an excellent resource for the community, this wellness center here, but one of the things that I think really makes CAMA unique is that you have these lower prices or these sliding scales in order to make it affordable for people. And you, who has all this expertise in acupuncture, is teaching acupuncture, has a very good reputation, really didn't need to go that route. Like you could be charging a lot of money, for acupuncture, and you decided that you want to build a community center. So can you just tell me why
I'm happy
you decided
to tell you how that happened. So we're sliding scale $30 to $45 for a treatment, and the reason I price things that way is because after I graduated acupuncture school, I really wanted to have a lot of patients, and I wanted, most importantly, for that service to be affordable for people. Because if you can't afford the medicine, you can't use the medicine. And I had just been trained for 3 years full time to bring this medicine to people. So I wanted people to feel like they could afford it. And in fact, the US Census shows that very, very, very few people, in fact, only 7% of the US population can afford an acupuncture treatment in an ongoing way that's more than $65. So by simply cutting the price in half, but offering really almost the equivalent of a private practice experience, we have a full service for the cost of a copay, which is somewhere between $30 and $45.
Right, and that's what people are used to paying. And you mentioned something really important, that a lot of this is paid out of someone's pocket. So it's not covered by insurance.
That's right.
Even though you and I know there's been a lot of research out there, and people are really benefiting from acupuncture. I know I worked for the University of Pennsylvania Health System, and we had a division there that was doing a lot of research on acupuncture because people were showing great improvements and having positive benefits. We're also in a great area here for medicine. We have the Jefferson Health System as well too, and they have a whole integrated health department with acupuncturists.
Right, that's right.
So why is this still this missing link where you think we don't have insurance, but there's all this research that's showing that it's beneficial?
Well, as we know, the healthcare system is slow to change. And we simply, were as a possible alternative for people for various issues like pain or chronic disease, those two big issues, we're simply not included in the literature really that's written about what insurance should cover. I mean, we're not even on the scene, except for lately. And there are more and more insurance companies that cover acupuncture. But I think what's most significant is that the major cancer hospitals in this country, I believe there's 6 of them, and they, Sloan Kettering I know is one of them, Anderson, there's a cancer hospital with Anderson in the name. And all of these, including Cancer Treatment Centers of America, which also has, I believe, 6 branches, they all use acupuncture for their cancer patients. And those cancer patients are paying out of pocket for that. But it just goes to show you how helpful they're finding it to be under the dire circumstances of cancer.
Well, I love that too, because you have, even in a healthcare setting, you have your clinicians and you're receiving the medicine there and some of the state-of-the-art treatment. But really, we're talking about taking care of someone as a whole person and showing that acupuncture could help as well too. So can you tell us, why does it work? What is it about acupuncture that makes it so effective?
Sure. Well, Maria, that's like the $10,000 question, because if we really knew how acupuncture worked, I think it would be far more accepted in Western medicine today. But the research dollars simply, until lately, have not been there to figure out what are the mechanisms of acupuncture. We've had a lot of money to research how drugs work, but not so much money to research how acupuncture works. But all that's changing. And it's primarily changing because acupuncture is such a affordable expense as far as medicine goes. In other words, you just need needles and cotton balls and tables, and you have a legitimate medicine that you can practice. So now there are studies that actually, for example, some brain studies where a patient will have their brain studied while they're getting acupuncture, and they can actually see the signal travel up the arm, go into the cervical spine, and enter an area of the brain that they know controls pain perception. So these things are slowly happening, and the more that happens, the more insurance will cover it. But it's hard to know whether that's a good thing or not.
Well, it's so funny because as you're talking about this, I'm thinking acupuncture's been around for thousands of years, and really conventional medicine hasn't been around that long. So it's just so interesting that the research isn't there, but for thousands of years, people have known that this really works.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, allopathic medicine, otherwise known as Western medicine, is about 150 years old. Acupuncture is somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 years. I haven't dated it exactly. And Western medicine is really legitimized by something called the double-blind study. But Eastern medicine, or acupuncture, is legitimized by something called empirical medicine, which is simply that the same result has been observed over and over and over again without a specific test, but simply witnessing what's happened for the patient and seeing their function returned in all sorts of different situations under many different conditions. So, we just use common sense, really, to just notice that it works.
Well, it reminds me of mindfulness because, as you know, I'm a mindfulness instructor, and the same is true there. It's been around for thousands of years. People have always talked about how it's so helpful, and yet there wasn't real science evidence behind it, but now there is, because we came out with those functional MRIs, and similar to what they're doing with acupuncture, they're able to measure and show the changes in someone's brain when they're practicing. So for me, with acupuncture, it sounds like the research is definitely starting out there. It's just a matter of time.
It is just a matter of time.
The proof, because maybe they need to measure things a little bit differently than they're used to.
And I encourage the public to consider ideas that don't have conventional proof, because there's a lot of good stuff out there that isn't measurable by what the culture considers to be the right standards, but yet these things still really make sense. Acupuncture is one of those things. It's only been in this country for about 60 years, but it has this long history of helping people throughout those 60 years, and then the several thousand years before that. So when your friends tell you, try acupuncture, try it.
And I agree with that. Try it. It's wonderful. And I was just thinking about, some other medical practitioners in the East that were medical doctors, they were also acupuncturist practitioners. So I always found that interesting too. Oh, you're a medical doctor. Oh, and you're an acupuncture practitioner, and you're combining the two. So it's much more common.
It is
I think
in
in
the
some of
East.
those other countries than we're finding here, at least right now.
For sure, for sure.
So you brought up something that a lot of people I talk to cringe about when I mention acupuncture. I'm like, oh, why don't you try acupuncture? And acupuncture would be great. Oh, I think you really benefit from acupuncture. And all they can visualize or think about are needles. They're like, needles, they don't know anything. They don't want to hear it. They have this big fear of needles.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think I used to think the same way, but it's not like when you get a vaccine or something. It's not like that type of needle. Actually, you don't even feel the needles.
Right.
So can you tell people, like,
Sure,
what do you do
sure.
during
I'm
the
so
treatment?
happy to talk about this because, there's marketing stumbling blocks for acupuncturists, and one of them is how do you get people over this fear of needles, which many people have, understandably, because most of them had their first experience with a needle when they were a kid, and it really hurt, and it was a hypodermic needle, and it didn't go well. And so therefore, the number one reason people don't try acupuncture is because of concern about the needles. So I'm here to tell you today that those fears are completely unfounded. And I know it's hard to believe, but the first thing you should know is that this is not a hypodermic needle. In other words, there's no hollow space for anything to be in the needle to get injected into the body. This is a completely solid object, and the object is the width of a human hair. So it is extremely thin. I wish we had one right here to show you. You wouldn't even be able to see it. You wouldn't even be able to see it.
A lot of times they have these little rubber wiggly things on the end, different colors.
Yeah,
right?
different colors tell you different, sizes, but no matter what size they are, they're all very, very, very thin and small. And for the most part, most people don't even feel it when the needle goes in. Sometimes the needle goes into a part of the body that's a little more sensitive than others, and you might feel a slight pinch. And invariably, and I can say this after a dozen years in business and thousands of treatments a year, is that all patients feel like any minimal discomfort they experience is well worth the benefits they get from having acupuncture. And I consider CAMA to be a place where, we really specialize in making people's first experience a great one. So if you're at all anxious about it, we'll take you through it in a really slow way. Yeah.
It is wonderful. And in my experience, you really don't feel it. And if anything, I was always fascinated by how the needles stand up, because they're hardly in your skin at all. It seems like, to me, it seems like there's only the little tiny tips in there, and they're just standing up with their little wiggly thing on the end. So it's in my experience, to me, it's been very relaxing.
Yeah, well, first I want to say also these very thin needles do not go in very deeply at all, maybe a quarter of an inch, something like that. But you mentioned relaxing, and I was trained to treat many different conditions. So chronic conditions of any organ. So, if you have kidney disease or liver disease, or you have digestive dysfunction or migraines or asthma, any of these sort of organ imbalances, or you have some kind of system function, like your immune system struggles or your endocrine system, which is your hormone struggles. These are the kinds of things that we learned in acupuncture school. But when all is said and done, after a dozen years of practice, I feel like one of the most profound and major benefits of what I do is stress reduction because of the relaxing effect on the nervous system. I call this place the Sanctuary on Germantown Avenue because so many people are taking a snooze. And it doesn't matter whether it's late morning or middle of the afternoon or late, people are just falling asleep on the table because it is so deeply relaxing. And we do everything to foster that. We play beautiful music and we make the environment really comfortable. It's always, the thermostat's always set for your comfort. And we just make sure that people can let their bodies let go.
Yeah. It smells really nice in here too. Yeah, as soon as you come in, you feel relaxed. I do anyway. So what are some of the reasons, what are the most popular reasons people come here for? Why?
What are common conditions?
Yeah, common conditions.
Well, pain, of course, is way up there. I think more and more people are feeling some resistance to taking the pain meds that their doctors prescribe because it's just never ends. If you have a chronic pain condition, even taking Tylenol, I mean, which we're now finding out is controversial and difficult on the gut and can cause unexpected problems. These are issues that people taking drugs to manage pain is something that everyone needs to look at closely, because if your pain is chronic, or even if it's not, but the problem lasts for quite some time, it's difficult on the liver, it's difficult on the kidneys, there may be some unexpected problems. Most people don't know that 106,000 people die a year from the expected and known side effects of drugs. So these are expected, this is like a tolerated number.
No.
Yes, it's actually up to 110,000 now. But most people are saying, I need an alternative to control pain. And we know that acupuncture is really a great solution for this, not only because of time, but most people don't also know that the U.S. military has mandated the use of acupuncture to help veterans control pain in veterans hospitals, because it's so much better for them than taking opiates and getting too drugged or not being able to function in other ways, even if their pain is controlled. So acupuncture is being used to help people who have wounds from battle wounds manage their pain.
I love that they're doing it. It seems like in some ways the military is actually very open to a lot of these other methods. I know they're incorporating a lot of mindfulness as well too, to help with stress, to help keep people focused, to help when they come back. So that's just so great to hear.
I do want to say a little PS on that. It has been mandated, but not necessarily instituted.
Oh, okay.
But they're working on it. At least
we're getting there.
At least it's there. Yeah.
We're getting there. So one of the things, I was thinking about, you've had so many people come through your doors here. You have a lot of different practitioners here. There are people here all the time if anybody would like a treatment. But how many people do you think have been here since you opened,
How many patients?
Yeah, how many patients?
Well,
or how many treatments, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So even if they came in more than once.
Even if they came in more than once, how many per year are we seeing? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 visits a year. Yeah.
That's pretty
so
impressive.
So we're busy. We're open 7 days a week and 5 nights a week, actually.
Wow. So that's nice.
And that says something about how many people are using and benefiting from the acupuncture.
So you're busy pretty much all the time.
Yeah, we're busy. It's fantastic. And word of mouth is everything. The patients tell other people. That's the best. That's the best.
Well, I think that's what really works too, because you could read about a lot of things, and even you could get the real evidence showing it works. But until you hear from a friend or you hear from someone you trust, sometimes you're just not as open to it. But that's great that you have word of mouth, and it's a wonderful community here too, I must say.
It is. Mount Airy, as probably many of the people watching this know, is such an open-minded and health-oriented community. I mean, having the co-op in the neighborhood,
and
there's vegan restaurants around, or places where you can get vegan food, and we're just a health-conscious community and open to something other than the Western way, and so we fit quite neatly into that.
And one of the things I want to mention too that I think you've really done, Elise, is that you saw this vacant building here. It was vacant for years, and then you were looking for a building, and then you saw this building. It's like perfect, and you completely renovated it. It's gorgeous, and it seems like the whole community has started to grow from this. And you do a lot for the community. In fact, I think, weren't you recognized by the Business Improvement District or something too?
I was. Yeah.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, thanks. I really, the word community in community acupuncture, to me, most people identify that with a particular style of acupuncture, which is where people are, more than one person is in a room. But that's not really what the word meant to me. What was significant to me about the word community in the name of my business was that I wanted to be a resource to the community, but most importantly, I wanted to give back to the community for the ways that the community came to me. And so I've done a variety of projects throughout Mount Airy. I could mention them. But,
okay, all right. Mention a couple of them. I know you're always thinking. You have this little entrepreneur mind.
I do. Well, I really wanted to give back to the community. So there are some benches up at William Allen Plaza up near Lutheran Theological Seminary. So I was responsible for that project. And I also gave some seed money so that the Lovett Library Park could get the initial design work done on the park. I also, as a board member of the Mount Airy Business Improvement District, do all the flowers along along the avenue, the 2 mile. And of course I do this with other people. I'm not operating alone, but I am the head
If you'd
of,
like to volunteer.
I am, I headed up the beautification committee and still do in many ways for a long time. I think it's about 5 years. And I sponsor the Mount Airy Drum Circle, which is a way for people to come together and, just enjoy themselves in community. These are things that just felt right to me to keep that energy rotating between the people coming in and what was going out of the business. And my latest initiative has actually been to choose a local and a national and international charity in which to tithe basically the proceeds of CAMA to these other local and national, international charities, just as a way to continue to serve.
I love that, and I really agree with that as well. So it sounds like, you have beauty here, beauty inside. You feel it when you come in. People feel good. The wellness in the community is growing. The beauty in the community is growing, and now you're even growing internationally. So it's a really nice exchange. People are coming in, they're supporting CAMA, they're leaving feeling great, and then you're also giving it out and supporting the community as well.
Well, I think as you were just saying that, I realized that I want to share something kind of subtle that very much relates to the Chinese medicine aspect of what I do, which is that I do believe that everything is energy. And acupuncture is energy medicine. It is moving the energy of the body the same way that yoga moves the energy of the body, or even meditation can clear the energy of the body through breath practices, especially. And that goes for money, it goes for intention, it goes for relationship in general. So I'm just doing in some sort of not so obvious way what's really happening on every single table in the office, which is we're moving energy to create harmony, peace, and good. And I love it. I mean, I feel very fulfilled and fortunate that I do what I do.
And you've just done so much again for the community. And I want to because I think this may be true, people come in and they feel that energy here, and they're going out and doing good things as well.
Oh yeah, I hope, like that pebble in a pond, you can never tell what ripples you create, but for sure they are traveling and they do count and they matter. Everybody matters. So I do my best to bring out the best in people so that they can bring out the best in the lives they touch when they leave here.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Is there anything else you could think of that you'd like to share with our viewers?
I think simply that there's a lot of mystique that still surrounds acupuncture, and there's a lot of distrust for modalities that are offered that are alternatives to Western medicine. But of all the different modalities that are out there, acupuncture is really one of the oldest systems in the world of medicine. Only Ayurveda, which is the medicine of India, I think perhaps predates Chinese medicine a bit. So if you're going to lean into anything for a chronic issue, and I say chronic because acupuncture really fits neatly into the slot where Western medicine doesn't fit. In other words, Western medicine is great if you have a heart attack or you need surgery for a broken bone or you have a laceration. There are many roles that are very appropriate for Western medicine to play. But for Eastern medicine, what we really address is the chronic things, the things that Western medicine really only has drugs for and sometimes attempts surgery, but doesn't maybe do so well at that. So of all the different medicines you could lean into to help chronic conditions, acupuncture is just a great thing to give a try to because we don't hurt people, we very often help them, and there's a lot of history behind it to back up its validity.
There is, and I think for me and other people I know who are healthy and maybe don't have a chronic condition, I just like acupuncture because I just feel like it's keeping me healthy, it's keeping my immune system up. I feel great when I get acupuncture. I might get a little nap in as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And I just feel really good, and I do believe that I'm healthier because of it too. So it's something you might want to try. This is a great place to come, especially if it's your first time, your first visit. I think you'll leave feeling very good about being here. I'll put up all the information too after the video if you'd like to find out the location and get some information on CAMA as well. And anything else?
Yeah, one more thing.
One last
which
thing.
is kind kind of critical is that acupuncture originally is thought of as wellness medicine. It's not really sick care, it's wellness care. So while I mentioned how good it is for chronic problems, it really ideally is used even when you're doing fine to keep you doing fine, just like a yoga class, just like healthy meals, just like meditation. Anything, you know, a walk in the woods, time with friends, anything that you do that nourishes you to be your best self and to bring out your full potential. Acupuncture has that capacity as well, and that's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah, and you call this a wellness center, too.
I do, because that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for people being well.
That's right, and we're feeling pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, that's so great, Elise. Thank you so much
You're
for today.
welcome, Maria. Thank you for giving me so much of a chance to express how I feel about what I do.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big fan. I hope you come visit CAMA. It's just a wonderful place. Like I said, I'll put up the information after the video. And thank you so much for being here today, too. If you would like more tips, education, videos like this on stress management, mindfulness, mind-body health, just visit my website at www.MariaFanelli.com, and I'll be sure to send you some updates. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye now.